We're catching up today with Milwaukee Admirals alum, I should say, Nashville Predators forward Rem Pitlick. Rem, good to see you. How's everything going?
Very good. Good to see you as well.
It's been an interesting year to say the least, hasn't it?
Yes, it definitely has. This is the second time we're talking, and it's just like it's crazy how long it goes and what's happening, but we're all trying to make the best of it and stuff. So yeah, it's definitely interesting.
We talked to you at the beginning of all of this, doing one of these, and it was interesting because at the time I don't think we knew if a season was going to happen, and then it did. So when you find out that everything's going to go forward as planned, and we're going to play in January, and the American League season is going to go, and there's a taxi squad, and I mean that's a lot to do. That's a lot to process because it's never been done.
Yeah, it was really like, yeah, I guess we're going to keep using the word interesting over and over again, but the guys and I kind of, when we had our skates back home, there's a bunch of guys that we were doing skates, and we were kind of had bigger groups, so we were doing more like scrimmages and up and down the ice, getting ready for the season. And it was just kind of funny that each week kept going by, and we're like, the date kept getting pushed back and back and back, and there's just so many little things that we're going, and then we're not, and it was kind of interesting to deal with, but yeah, I think we're all making the best of it, and that's kind of the theme.
Let's stay with that interesting theme. When the season starts and you start in Chicago with against what is the Admirals' arch rival, and you're sharing an affiliate now with the Carolina Hurricanes, how different is that?
Yep, interesting again. I mean, I've heard stories about different guys who've been within organizations that have a minor league team that share teams, and everyone has a little bit of a different experience. And my experience was very pleasant in the sense that the guys from Carolina's organization were really nice, and it was a younger group. But the guys were great, and the staff was awesome, and then obviously Carl Rals and Fordo were there too, and Aaron was there, and it was good. I think just that the familiarity with our organization, and then kind of getting to meet some new people, and I think everyone did their best of respecting each other, and we're all kind of trying to do the best that we can, but further our careers and do different things. So I think kind of with all things said, it was done very well.
Chicago has done a great job all season long, but a very successful season for them.
Mm-hmm.
But especially at the start, my goodness, you guys were scoring goals. It was like the Gretzky, Curry, Messier, Glenn Anderson, Paul Coffey Oilers there. It seemed 4 or 5 goals every night. You leading the way when you were in Chicago.
Yeah, it was fun. Like, I think what was interesting is just like how, like, obviously our team was really young, and we had the Grand Rapids team. They're a very old team, and a lot of returning guys from last year, and just how many like young guys were there, and your first year pros, and just like the energy that they're just excited to be at the rink and just fun, and there's just so much skill, and I think that's what we brought, and the coaches there were kind of there to put us in the right spots to succeed. And like I said, it was just an interesting dynamic, and it was just like it kind of seemed like there were so many things that put our backs against the wall that was like, screw it, like we're just gonna have fun with this, and
Yeah.
we just kind of did, and that's kind of what happened.
Is there something to be said about, you mentioned playing Grand Rapids, a veteran team, and a lot of those players have been around for not only last year, but 3, 4, 5 years. They've been around for a
Yeah.
long time. Is there something to be said about a young player not having the history, not knowing what's going on, maybe being too naive to understand a history and just going out and playing? There's got to be a freedom in that to a degree.
Yeah, I would say both. Like, I definitely kind of like look at it both ways, because you're always a rookie on different teams, and I think about my hockey career growing up, and whether it's you're on the high school team for the first time, or you're playing juniors for the first time, or you're a freshman in college or first year pro, you're kind of like you always have that year of a rookie, and there's some personalities that want you to kind of be a rookie, and like you pick up the pucks, and you're kind of trying to think of a word that's not a swear word right now. We all know the word that I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
But yeah, that, so you kind of got to like earn your
You're the
rope
low
in
man
those.
on the totem pole.
Yes, exactly. And then I think that there's some guys that are okay with, like, they don't want you to kind of sulk in yourself and like, oh, I need to earn my thing. They're like, no, we want you to perform now, because like you're my line mate. Like, you can't be trying to feel out the league or do certain things. Like, you need to perform because you're good. and those types of things. So I think there definitely is something to be said about that freedom where it's just like you're a young guy, you don't know anything, and you're kind of just blocking out all the BS and you just go play. And I just remember like one of the first practices, like some of the younger guys that were there, like Seth Jarvis and Suzuki, like, you know, the Carolina guys, they were a little bit younger than what we
Yeah.
had, it seemed like, from Milwaukee. They were just like scoring goals at the end of practice on the empty net and like messing around and selling. I'm like, that's awesome. Like they're just like being kids. And like, I have a little bit of that in me, but sometimes I feel like through my experience, maybe it's just like, I learned to not be that exotic and weird about it. So I was like, that's great. Like, I love seeing different personalities and different flavors, like how people, I don't know, live and perform on the ice.
Yeah, I agree with that. And after that hot start you had in Chicago, you go up to Nashville. You've been there ever since, in and out of the lineup. And fortunately, unfortunately, I guess you'd love to be in the lineup every night, but um, it's been a wild season in Nashville. It
Yeah.
didn't look good for a while, and then all of a sudden, man, and like right now, it looks awesome.
Yeah. It definitely has been a really interesting time. Again, interesting.
Interesting, yeah.
Word count. We're getting the tallies for interesting. Um, yeah, I think it's just really fun to be a part of. Obviously, I remember like the first kind of meeting we had with the team when we went on that really long road trip when I just got here. Like, there was definitely a mood that, you know, we can turn it around, but it was like borderline. We're like, oh my gosh, like this is bad. And there was, I don't, it was just kind of like dark, I guess. It was heavy, and all of a sudden, like, it was just it was interesting to feel how things can change when you just stick with something. And I think that goes for a lot of people in life with different things. And just this COVID thing, it was like a metaphor for what's going on in COVID. There's so many like things, but just stick with it. And I think it was cool to be a part of, you know, like trying to think of the word, just like a mood change. It's just crazy to kind of feel where we were then and where we are now.
Was there a eureka moment? Was there a light bulb that went on that all of a sudden changed, or was it just here's the process and then all of a sudden you hit that mark and then it took off?
I think it's just gradual. Like, there's never, I think the aha moment kind of came when we finished that long road trip and we had put together some wins, and that kind of changed the mood. But I think going into it, it was just that it's just the same thing every day. There's not more than that you can ask of yourself if you're coming to the rink every day and trying to look at it a little bit different, or use the 1%. I don't know how we figured out the 1%. Is it 1.5 or 1.2 or 1.6? Like, I guess we're going to stick with 1%, maybe 5%. I don't know, but it's just, you know, getting better a little bit every day. And I think that's what, you know, anyone, that's all they can ask. Sorry, there's trucks driving by. I'm in my car again. Car interview part 2.
That's all right.
Yeah, I think just bringing a little bit more every single day, and it just adds up. And I feel like that's all you can ask of yourself. And I think that's what everyone's done.
It's this playoff push, and I mean, Nashville can clinch, and maybe by the time people see this, they have clinched. But what is that like? It's one thing, and last year in Milwaukee, you experienced what it was like to be a front runner basically all season. Now it's the push and the hard charging to get into the postseason. What has that experience been like?
I've had different experiences, not hockey related, all that kind of stuff. But when, like, it's an interesting dynamic to live in a world where you're just kind of on the edge the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
we're all, like, everyone's kind of probably checking the scoreboards. I mean, obviously it's
Is it
between
good
us
or
and
bad? Is it good or bad?
I would say it's
Or
how you it's kind of like both. It depends how you look at it. Like, I enjoy it. I think it's really cool to kind of, like, I guess I use the language of, like, you sit in the fire. Like, there's a lot of pressure. Like, we all want to do it, but it's out of our control. And I think it's kind of cool. Like, there's so much, like, we're not clinched, but we should, you know, that kind of thing.
yeah.
So it's interesting. Like, there's definitely a lot of pressure and everyone's nervous, but, like, we're calm at the same time. So it's kind of interesting emotions to feel.
So does that come from your own personal training, or is that a mood set by? Because I knew John Hines years ago. I'd only dealt with him a couple of times when he was at the University of Wisconsin, but John Hines has always been a calm, cool, not emotionless, but he doesn't show them. So does it start from there, or is it the players that are leading the way with this?
I would say it's a little bit of both. I think it's everyone's.
Todd Richards, for that matter, we know, and yeah.
Yeah, I think it's everyone. I think everyone just kind of has that, and yeah, I think it's everyone.
Did you have a relationship, by the way, since I bring it up, because your dad and Todd would have played at the University of Minnesota right about the same time, right?
Yeah, I
Oh.
didn't. I never met them until I got here. At least I don't remember, but they were roommates in college, so they know each other pretty
They
well.
were okay.
Yeah,
Very
yeah.
cool.
So that's an interesting, cool connection. Yeah.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. As we finish up here, um, your thoughts on where this is going and how important it is to get into the playoffs.
I think it kind of, there's so many. Yeah, I think it's really important. What I've noticed in, like, I haven't been in the lineup always, and I've been, I watch every game. I always go up and watch every single game, and now the attendance has changed between from each time that I've watched.
Pretty much,
Um,
yeah,
and
yeah,
so, before I had, in training camp, I got to see 2 games before I got sent down, and I don't think there was anyone in the building at that point. And then when I came back, it's what it was, 30%, and now we're up even higher than that.
yeah.
And it is interesting how you can just feel how the energy is. So I really do think the fans matter. I think it's really cool, and there's something about this city, like it's really cool, and how people support it, and just how passionate they are. And I think regarding the playoffs, I think it is really important, to get into the playoffs, because it's one of those things with the season that, we've had, Nashville's had, just like, everyone was kind of counting it out, and then we're almost there. And just I feel like it's kind of like, once you're in, you're in.
Yeah.
So many things can happen. And yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. Once you're in, and crazy stuff has happened. I mean, I always watching hockey as a kid. You always hear about the stories and the teams of, oh, they're the last seed in, and they end up winning the finals, or winning
Yeah.
the cup. So I think that's kind of the stories that we want to tell ourselves, because someone else has done it, so why can't we?
That's the thing. We look at last year's Milwaukee Admirals, and a first place team, and in first place the majority of the season, if not the entire season. Not that the team would have won the Calder Cup, but you just wanted the chance to play. And that's the same thing. Whoever finished fourth in the division, whether it's Nashville this year or last season in the American Hockey League, they just wanted the chance to play,
Yeah, for sure.
to see how it
Yeah,
goes. To see how it
yeah,
goes.
exactly.
What are your days like then? If you're as on the taxi squad, what are your days? Do you work out with the team most days or not?
Um, well, not as much, just because there's so many games back to back, and the team usually, when there's a game, they usually don't practice the following day, because there's a game the next day after that. And so they usually will just morning skate, and so I haven't been able to practice with the team that much, and kind of on their own little schedule. And the taxi squad guys need a little bit more to stay in shape, because we're not playing those games. So it's just a small group of us, and we do our workouts and our little skates together, and we're at the rink a little bit longer and stuff like that. But it's kind of just the same thing. We just don't have as many guys in practice. Get to the rink, do our little workout, 45 minutes to an hour and 15-minute skate, and we have the rest of our day to ourselves. So yeah.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
Rem, good to see you. Best
Yeah,
of
good to
luck
see
the
you as
rest of the
well.
way, and
Thanks.
all the best.
Yeah, it was nice to see you guys, and nice to connect.
That's Rem Pitlick.